Now, while brown bread in its own right isn't a meal, we thought we'd show you how to create it, because at the end of the day, we all know that when you're trying to go low carb or reverse diabetes or lose some weight, bread is an absolute no-no. I mean, one slice of bread turns into 3 teaspoons of sugar inside the body. And if you were to go out and get a Subway, that 12-inch Subway is about 150 grams of bread, works out at 15 teaspoons of sugar, the equivalent effect on your blood glucose level. So an absolute no, no, no. But of course, there are certain things we want. We want bread, if we can have some cheese, we want bread as a company. And Emma is going to show us her way of making brown bread.
I am. So today we are using ground brown flaxseed, linseed, same thing. Brown flax is much better taste-wise than golden flax. I don't know if you've ever oiled a cricket bat, but golden linseed is the same. It's got that kind of...
Let's get you over there, look, middle of the screen.
There we go. It's got a really pungent taste to it. So we're avoiding that. We're going with brown flaxseed, linseed, same thing. 5 eggs. We've got olive oil. We've got baking powder, some water, and some salt. You don't have to use the fancy stuff. You can just use normal sea salt. So what we're going to start with is we're going to crack our 5 eggs into a mixing bowl.
And how much bread will we get from this?
So I really recommend using one of these. This is a 2-pound loaf tin. You can get them from anywhere these days. These are more kind of speciality loaf tins, because what we're going to find is that our loaf isn't going to have the same rise that you would with like a gluten-based loaf, because obviously it doesn't contain gluten. So using a smaller loaf tin, something that's around 2 pounds weight-wise, will make sure you get that dome. Obviously it's got baking powder in it, it's got eggs in it, so everything's working in your favour to kind of create that dome, but it won't have that same rise.
And are the smaller ones of these available if you don't want to do sort of 18 slices, or?
Yes, you can get smaller loaf tins. I would recommend using this, using the recipe, and then freezing the slices you don't want. Slice it up, as you said, 18 slices we recommend from this recipe. And then, freeze it and then toast it straight from the freezer. This is a really simple loaf. You can have it as an open sandwich. You can toast it. You can, do whatever. Have it as cheese on toast. So it's a really delicious, simple recipe. So in here we've got our 5 eggs. I've just given them a whisk up. I'm adding the olive oil. We've got 2 tablespoons. So give that a little whisk. We have got water. I'm just going to do, I lost my fork. I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of water. Okay, rescue my fork.
I always do that.
Right, now we can add in our milled and ground, same thing. So it's quite coarse. Yeah. But it's got a lovely nutty texture. I'm just going to add that in. This will soak up a lot of that liquid. Yeah, because normally you wouldn't expect to use that much liquid, would you? But they're going to really soak it up. It's quite coarse. But this is really high in fibre. So if you make 18 slices, then you're looking at around a gram of carbs per slice. Oh, very low. Which is so low. Yeah. Okay, so we're adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And then we're adding our sea salt, so probably about 1/4 teaspoon. And get back to the freezing bread. If you freeze it and you want it for toast, do you obviously thaw it first or straight in the toaster? Well, I mean, most toasters do have a setting on it which you can press for defrost. So I would just do that, or just turn the heat down on the toaster, pop it in, and just see how it goes. Yeah, hope for the best. But no, obviously, always be careful. But as you can see that's created a thick batter. Now, what you could do is leave it to stand for 5 or 10 minutes. It'll soak up a lot more of that liquid. So you could just mould it then, pop it on a baking sheet if you didn't have one of these, and then pop it in the oven. So you could create a rustic loaf out of this, or we're just going to pop it straight into our baking mould. Would this work as a pizza base, or do we do one of your pizza bases in another recipe? You're going to do one of my pizza bases in another recipe. I'm glad you said that. There's no saying it wouldn't work, of course, but I would probably enjoy this as bread. My children love it with chocolate spread on, homemade chocolate spread. If you ground down some hazelnuts, add some cocoa and a little bit of sweetener, you know.
Yeah.
Homemade jam. So you're just going to press that in.
Not too hard, leave a bit of air in.
Yeah. And then we're going to pop that in the oven.
Brilliant. And how long will that roughly take?
It will take about 35 minutes. So we're just going to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Once the knife comes out clean, done.
35 minutes at about what, 180?
180, yeah,
Brilliant.
exactly 180. So you can see it's holding its shape. It'll go in the oven. That's it.
Brilliant. I'll do that for you.
Thank you.
Well, that's risen up lovely.
Yeah, so I think, here we go. It's really dense, it's heavy. It's a speciality loaf. You know, it doesn't contain grains, it doesn't contain gluten.
Yeah.
Obviously there's no dairy in there either. You've just got olive oil, you've got ground flaxseed, you've got water,
a little bit of
sea
psyllium
salt.
husk.
No psyllium husk in here.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
No. So that's our flatbreads.
Yeah.
So here we go, slicing up really nicely.
Brilliant.
And then
You can try with a little bit of butter, shall we?
A little bit of butter. It's just come out of the oven, so it is warm.
Nice. So this would be great with cheese.
Oh, cheese.
Pate.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you know, people love different styles of loaves, different ryes. I would say it's got a similar consistency to rye bread. So once that's...
Oh, lovely.
Once that has cooled, it will seem a little bit less kind of moist. It is still quite... I mean, you can see that it's set really nicely.
Yeah.
But it just needs to be left now. And then once it's really nice and cool, you can toast it, and it's perfect.
I love it. And then you can stick it in the freezer?
You can stick it in the freezer, slice it up, stick it in the freezer, have it whenever you want it. And know that, you know, 1 gram of carbs per slice. You know, they are smaller, but they're very, very dense. They're very, very filling. And, you know, 1 gram of carbs, when a normal shop bought a slice is going to contain about 14 to 15 grams of carbs. So much better for your blood sugar. That's it.
Well done.